Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan. In the cold, damp town of New Ross, Ireland, as 1985 draws to a close, the days are short and raw. The River Barrow flows dark as stout, and the chimneys of the town release smoke that drifts like hairy strings before dissolving. For Bill Furlong, a hard-working coal and timber merchant, the biting cold means good business. His lorry is on the road constantly, delivering fuel to the shivering townspeople, while his men work tirelessly in the yard. Furlong is a man who has come from nothing. Born in 1946 to a 16-year-old unwed mother, his future seemed bleak. His mother was a domestic from Mrs. Wilson, a kind Protestant widow living in a large house outside town. In an act of profound charity, rather than dismissing the girl, Mrs. Wilson kept her on, providing a home for both mother and child. Furlong's earliest memories are of Mrs. Wilson's kitchen, a world of shining tiles and the constant comforting presence of his mother and the woman who sheltered them. Mrs. Wilson, who had no children of her own, took Furlong under her wing, helping him with his reading and instilling in him the quiet Protestant habits of rising early and avoiding drink. He was jeered at school for his illegitimacy, but his connection to the big house afforded him a measure of protection. He never learned the identity of his father. The space on his birth certificate simply reads, "Unknown." Now a man of almost 40, Furlong has built a respectable life. He is married to Eileen, a practical woman with shiny black hair and a sharp mind, and they have 5 clever daughters. He takes a deep, private joy in seeing his girls thrive, attending the best local school, St. Margaret's, and showing promise in their studies and music. He is a good provider. His days are a ceaseless cycle of work, up in the dark, out on the road making deliveries, home in the dark, and to bed, ready to repeat it all again. He is acutely aware of the precariousness of life. The 1980s are raw times in Ireland. The dole queues are long, factories are closing, and he often sees the quiet desperation of families struggling to stay warm or put food on the table. He is determined to keep his own family safe, his head down, and stay on the right side of people. But a quiet disquietude has taken root in him. Some nights he lies awake, his mind turning over the state of things, or he stands at his kitchen window watching the late-night stragglers, imagining a world of men his daughters will one day have to navigate. He feels as though he is moving mechanically through his days, his mind always on the next task, the next order, the next bill. As Christmas approaches, the town puts on its festive face. A tall spruce stands in the square, and the streets are strung with colored lights. During the town's tree lighting ceremony, Furlong feels a pang of worry when his youngest, Loretta, cries in fear at the sight of Santa Claus. It makes him wonder if she will be strong enough for the world. Later that evening, as the family makes the Christmas cake, the familiar rituals transport him back to his own childhood. He remembers asking Santa for his father or a jigsaw puzzle, and receiving instead practical gifts and an old pictureless copy of A Christmas Carol. He recalls hiding his disappointment in the cowhouse, the profound loneliness of being the boy with no father. This melancholy thread runs through the festive preparations, an unnamed anxiety that even Eileen, with her canny instinct, senses. She dismisses his worries, telling him that to get on in life, there are things one must ignore. The convent, run by the Good Shepherd nuns, sits powerfully on a hill overlooking the town. It is a place of whispers and rumors. The nuns run a trailing school for girls and a renowned laundry service, patronized by the area's most respectable establishments and households. But there are darker stories, too, that the training school is a place for girls of low character, unmarried mothers, and other fallen women who are forced to do penance by washing the dirty linen of the town from dawn till night. People say it is a place where girls are hidden away, their babies taken from them and adopted out for a fee. But in a town sustained by gossip, Furlong, like most, is inclined to dismiss these as rumors. One evening, making a delivery to the convent, he finds no one at the front and ventures around the side. He sees a small chapel where a dozen young women with rough chopped hair and wearing only socks and gray shifts are on their hands and knees, polishing the floor with a desperate intensity. When they see him, they look terrified. One girl, with a Dublin accent, steps forward and begs him to help her escape, to take her as far as the river so she can drown herself. Furlong, unnerved, can only stammer that he cannot help before a nun appears. He notices the high walls, topped with broken glass, and the padlock on the inside of a gate. The encounter leaves him shaken. When he tells Eileen, she is rigid, insisting it has nothing to do with them. She reminds him that the nuns are good customers who always pay on time. "If you want to get on in life," she says, agitated, "there's things you have to ignore so you can keep on." Her words are a sharp, pragmatic defense of their carefully constructed life, a life that depends on not seeing what is too uncomfortable to acknowledge.
A few days before Christmas, on a bitterly cold Sunday morning, Furlong rises in the pre-dawn dark to make one last urgent delivery to the convent. The streets are slick with frost. Arriving at the convent, he unloads the coal and logs into the shed at the gable end. As he forces the frosted bolt on the coal house door, he senses something inside. Shining his torch into the blackness, he discovers a girl, barely fit to stand, huddled in the filth. Her hair is shorn, her feet are bare, and she has clearly been locked in the shed for some time. The ordinary part of him wishes he had never come, but he takes off his coat and wraps it around her shivering frame. He helps her out into the cold air, where she simply stands, staring out at the lights of the town. He leads her to the convent's grand front door and rings the bell. After a long wait, the Mother Superior, a tall, imposing woman, opens it. She greets Furlong with a practiced, polished smile, expressing regret that he should encounter such a terrible business. She claims the girl, who seems to be in a trance, simply wandered off, and they were about to call the Gardaí. She ushers them both inside, into a fine, warm room with a freshly lit fire. While they wait for tea, Furlong watches the girl, who awkwardly picks at a slice of fruitcake. The Mother Superior turns her cool, assessing gaze on Furlong, making pointed conversation about his daughters and their attendance at St. Margaret's, subtly reminding him of the power the convent holds over their future. She then turns to the girl, and in a soft but commanding voice, asks her to explain what happened. The girl, terrified, mutters, "They were only playing hide and seek." "Wasn't it all just a mistake?" she coaxes. "Wasn't it all just a big nothing?" The girl tearfully agrees. Furlong watches, feeling a new kind of powerlessness, a complicity in the lie. Before he leaves, the Mother Superior presses an envelope in his hand, a Christmas gift containing a £50 note. He pauses by the girl, whose name he learns is Sarah, the same as his own mother. He sees the fresh stain of breast milk on her blouse and realizes her baby has been taken from her. He offers his help, telling him his name and where to find him, but he knows his words are empty. He leaves her there and drives away, the money in his pocket feeling like a brand. That day at Mass, he cannot bring himself to receive communion, feeling like the worst type of hypocrite. The feeling of shame gnaws at him. That evening, he drives out to Mrs. Wilson's old house. It has been sold and new people live there now. He learns that Ned, the kind old farmhand from his childhood, is in a nursing home. As he is about to leave, the new housekeeper makes a casual remark. "Easy knowing you're related," she says, looking from Furlong to Ned. "I can handy see the likeness." The words strike Furlong with the force of revelation. He thinks of Ned's steadfast, quiet presence throughout his youth, the daily acts of care, and understands. The kindness he received was not just charity, it was the unrecognized love of a father who watched over him his whole life. This realization changes everything. The abstract principle of kindness becomes a deeply personal inheritance. He sees the life his mother was saved from, and what his own life could have been, had it not been for the courage of Mrs. Wilson and the quiet grace of Ned. And Christmas Eve, the snow begins to fall. After a long day of final deliveries and sharing a drink with his men, Furlong walks through the festive town, the package containing Aline's new shoes in his hand. But he does not go home. He finds himself walking back across the bridge, up the hill toward the convent. A new and unrecognizable feeling, something close to courage, runs through his blood. He thinks of Mrs. Wilson and how the sum of her life was made of small decencies, of things she did and refused to do. He asks himself if it is possible to live an entire life without once being brave enough to go against the grain. He circles the high, glass-topped walls of the convent and finds his way back to the coal shed. He slides the bolt, calls out Sarah's name, and finds her there again. This time, she gladly takes his coat and leans on him. "You'll come home with me now, Sarah," and he leads her out of the darkness. They walk back through the snow-filled streets of New Ross. He feels the eyes of the town on him, the whispers and the judgment of people he has known his whole life as they see him with the barefoot girl from the laundry. One person asks what he is doing, another tells him to mind his own business. No one offers to help. But as he walks, a fresh, wild joy surfaces in his heart, mixed with the terror of what is to come. He knows a world of trouble awaits him behind his own front door, that this act will have consequences for his business and his daughters. But he also knows that the worst thing, the thing not done, is now behind him. Climbing the hill toward his home with the barefoot girl at his side, his fear is immense. But in his heart he believes that somehow they will manage.